as jobs go, I'd hazard this one is one of the tougher ones at the moment. President Ramaphosa has appointed Dr Somadoda Fikeni for a 5-year term as the Commissioner of the Public Service Commission. The Commission essentially is tasked and empowered to investigate, monitor and evaluate the organisation, it's a massive organisation, and administration of the public service in this country. The service right now is, I would suggest, demoralised and also in conflict with government over a contentious wage deal. Somadoda Fikeni, good afternoon to you and a very warm welcome. Given that the public service has been battered by the pandemic, what sort of service do you think you're inheriting, so to speak?
Well, I do think that you do have the pandemic, you do have the disclosures about corruption and also a difficult economic period. That is what one is inheriting, and many people have been psychologically traumatized by losing family members or even colleagues. And that is what one is inheriting in joining the team of the Public Service Commission. But I often say that out of a crisis, there comes an opportunity to do things differently.
Well, your big starting point, Dr. Fikeni, is seeding a discussion, I imagine, around better service and productivity against the backdrop that you have just painted. How do you do that?
In the first instance, I do think that COVID-19 has forced us to embrace technologies and do things differently in a more efficient and effective manner, doing things virtually, doing things online. That in itself already is taking us to e-governance, which could be extended to ordinary people, where you say, is it possible to explore ways and means of people getting some of their services instead of driving from rural areas to the cities just to get a signature or a paper, or from the townships to do the same? And the second one is to say, out of the challenges that we've seen, how do we professionalize public service so that it is effective, so that it is also an insurance that when you have political challenges, when you have coalitions collapsing, public service will continue to function effectively as was envisioned in the Chapter 10 of the Constitution.
Dr. Fikeni, what are your initial thoughts on the big wage issue that you also have to navigate? I guess you'll be well aware that this standoff between public servants and government is now headed for the Constitutional Court.
Well, the Public Service Commission doesn't actually get that much directly involved on wage negotiation issues, but it would deal with the issues of promoting the values, the effectiveness of the public service. So that process will be respected, and whatever the Constitutional Court comes out with, I guess because we are a constitutional democracy, that has to be respected.
That's a very good answer, but you'll also concede that wages and effective work do go hand in hand. They are inextricably tied together. You also have increasingly militant public unions. You're going to have to confront this one way or another, even though it's not in your direct purview to get involved in wage negotiations per se.
Without any doubt, I do think that transparency in engagement and also understanding a co-creative process where productivity is not compromised, where the well-being of the state is not compromised, but at the same time the well-being and the morale of the public service is key. So in so doing, I do think that it is very important to deal with these things, understanding the balancing act of these.
Dr. Fikeni, I can hear the telephone ringing. I'm going to ask you one more question. Possibly it's one of the unions trying to get hold of you, I don't know. But how do you also deal with the constant criticism of the public service being overstaffed, underskilled and bloated?
Well, to me, what is most important is to say that when you are professionalizing public service, the effectiveness will actually indicate whether you do have the overstaffing or not. but most important, that would not even arise if you had the standards and also if you had the productivity and the effectiveness, where people do feel the benefit of public service in every space where they are. And at the same time, given the current fiscal challenges, we may have to do more with less in most of the segments of the country. But the key thing is how to recover, and as you recover, how to have a meritocratic system, professionalized, which is very helpful in envisioning a developmental state, with the public service being part of that exercise and all other different role players and the partners being part of that exercise.
Just quickly, fundamentally, do you believe that you'll inevitably have to see a slimming down of this public service that you're looking after?
Well, I wouldn't actually pronounce on that because I've just arrived. This is my second day. And I've met with the chairperson and will be meeting with the other commissioners. It would be presumptuous of me until and unless one has gone through each and every document that is needed. And it is only then that I guess the Public Service Commission would have a view. And even that view, I guess it would be by the way of advising the role players.
All right, well, I'll let you find your parking spot and get your office pictures up, and we'll circle back to that story at some point, Dr. Somadoda Fikeni.